Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the first Instagood show of 2021. I am Seth, and I'm your host. You can find me at Seth Muse on Instagram or sethmuse.com for all the things. Thanks for joining me this beautiful Friday. You may notice that usually we do the show on Thursday, if you're a regular watcher of the Instagood show. But the news today is we're now on Fridays. Yes. I love Friday. Friday's one of my favorite days of the week. It's the last day of the week. It's the day that we are rejoicing over the weekend and the coming days. So we're now going to be on Fridays. So catch me here at 2:15 Eastern, 1:15 Central on Fridays, right here in the Church Communications group. So glad that you're with me today. We're here to make you Instagood at Instagram. And that is the point of the show. We're going to talk Instagram. We're going to talk all things communications, really, as how because they all relate to Instagram. So we might talk content. We may talk calendaring, scheduling, but we'll also get into the mechanics of Instagram if you're new to the show. So really glad that you're joining with us. If you get things out of the show and like it, I'd love for you to share it with your friends. Share it in this group, share it outside the group, whatever you can do. I don't know if you can even do that. But today, I want to let you know that I want to start interacting a little bit more with you guys. So when you see this, whether it's a replay later or it's on our TV app, which is now Church Communications has a TV app, and this show is part of that. I've had that for a while. But there's shows that are coming up that I'm really excited about. We've been kind of on a hiatus here for the Instagood show because, COVID, pandemic, election, 2020, it's the worst year ever, et cetera, Christmas, lots of things happening. So now we're back. I'm excited. We're going to talk Instagram today. So if you have questions, you have things you want me to cover, things that you're questioning about Instagram, I would love for you to send those to me via email, seth@sethmuse.com. Not hard to remember. Just email me, hey, for the Instagood show. Put that in the title, question for Instagood show in the subject line, and I will try to get to those questions, and maybe we'll do some viewer mail. I don't know. But I would love to tailor some of these shows around those questions so that I'm meeting needs that you actually have right now. So send me those questions. Today, I want to talk through how to fix the aspect ratio. There was a question that was asked in a previous post, and one of the issues that people face with Instagram is when you're posting something that is a video that's too long, and you get sometimes it posts it where it zooms it in and it takes up the whole screen and instead of sizing it correctly. And I'm not really sure why that happens sometimes, but here's how I get around it. I never really post natively to Instagram when it's a longer video, because if your video, let me back up. If your video is more than 1 minute long, you can't auto post that through Buffer, Hootsuite, etc. You have to go straight into Instagram and post to IGTV, which then you check the little preview box that you want to show a preview on your feed so it looks like a post. So you have to go through this little motion that's really annoying about Instagram, but that's how you have to get around it. But even when you do that, sometimes you post it, it's a long video, and it just doesn't look right because you've shot it in widescreen, you might have shown it in your service, and you just want to put it on social. Facebook works great. Instagram, hot garbage. Why? There's usually some kind of problem. So I have two solutions for you that I would suggest you do. And one of them is an app that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. And then the other is the actual Creator Studio. When you go into, what's the address? It's a business manager solution. What I end up doing for my church is if I go to post on the actual page, I go to Facebook and I'm on my desktop, and then I've got, I should just be showing you this. I'm sorry, but you go into create a post. And when you hit create a post, there's a little link down at the bottom that says, do you want to open this up in Creator Studio? And so if you click that, it opens it up. Then you have the option to choose between your Instagram or Facebook and things like that. I think you only get that if you have connected everything in a business manager profile for yourself. Now, what business manager is, business.facebook.com. Go there, you set up an account, and it allows you to connect your personal profile to all the different pages and Instagram accounts that you manage for your church or for other people. And as an agency or, something like that, we know this world, but with Church Com Team, which is my company where we help churches with communications remotely, and we go in and we help manage social media for them. We have to do this every time. So we connect to our Facebook Business Manager, which then allows us to post to your Instagram. So we open it up, we get this tool, and we can post to IGTV in there. And when we do that, it usually sizes it correctly, which means it will take the widescreen and shrink it down, even though it's in a long format that's for vertical like stories. The other solution is to just create a new version of the video in that format. And that's what I use InShot for. Let me tell you about InShot. This is InShot. It's free. It's worth the purchase of the app. Honestly, I'm seriously about to it's $35. I think if you want to buy it outright forever. And if you've got some budget, this one app is one of the best phone video editors that's out there. It's not the most complete, but it's the easiest to use, and I use it all the time. And what I love about it is it helps me resize formats for different pieces of content quickly. I mean, literally you go into Canvas and you select, you want a portrait, square, long form, widescreen, what do you want? Or custom. And then you just set it and you can zoom it in and out, make it fit. So easy to use. If you saw my intro video for this, I actually edited that in InShot. So if that tells you anything, it's a pretty powerful, a little bit of Premiere, but mostly an InShot. So it's honestly the easiest thing out there. And what you can do is select a canvas that is the long form, like you see there with the, I don't know, it's not googly eyes. I don't know what that first image is, but it's long form. And you set your video in to fit inside of that frame correctly. When you export it, you're actually exporting a video that is this story's shape, and your video just plays inside of it. And then it allows you to post to IGTV, and it will be the right format, because that's really what they want. They want that format, ideally. And so you just give them what they want, but you get what you want. And that's just a workaround. It's an extra step, but that app works fast. It really doesn't have a limit to how long the videos have to be. I mean, maybe 10 minutes, but that's a stupidly long video if you're posting on social media anyway. InShot is an incredible workaround for resizing and especially for video editing. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I jumped ahead on that because we were going to talk about other apps today too. So let's just jump into that and skip ahead a little bit. So the other app I wanted to talk to you about for InstaStories, creating great InstaStories. Often, that's if you want to do video. InShot's really great for video. It's great for images too. There's some filters and some text you can drop on things. It's really nice, but it's kind of limited on how much text you can use. Besides, you don't really want a lot of text anyway. But still, the point is that InShot is a very versatile app. Every social media manager needs that one in its repertoire. I heard about that app from Elevation Church when I was like, how are you doing all this stuff? That's so great. InShot. So that's where I heard about it. So if that gives any credence or any kind of weight to my recommendation, there you go. The other app that I also I think I learned this from Elevation. It might have been like VU Church or somebody I learned was using this app for layouts, to find really cool layouts for InstaStories, and that is an app called Mojo. Mojo. It's really cool. This basically gives you, I don't know, 50s, hundreds of different layouts to choose from that you can drop photos in easily. You can animate these things. These are really powerful tools that if you just take photos with your phone and you can quickly edit them into something that's a little nicer than just the photo. Like InstaStories itself has a lot of editing tools. It's great. And especially now with Reels and all the different editing options there to create content that's pretty engaging and fun. But if you really want something nice and clean, this has a lot of great templates that you can just quickly use and drop photos into, add some text, export, you're done. So if you want to kind of pepper in your stories between the raw footage or the Reels looking footage with some official, polished, nice looking things that kind of are like exclamation points or periods inside of a story sentence that you might be writing. Let me use that metaphoric terms. That's a cool little thing you can, quick app you can jump into that's very, very helpful for creating fast on the go Instagram content that looks pretty sharp and it makes you look like a pro. There is a subscription, just like InShot, there's a subscription version of this app. I don't know why anybody would pay for the subscription, because you end up paying ridiculous amounts of money for an app when you could pay $35 once and have it forever. So I would recommend just buying it, but I don't know. We can thank Adobe for all the subscription madness, because they have really racketed us on that. Mojo is a great app for doing these things. So, okay. Well, I wanted to hit a spotlight of a church that's doing Instagram really well. Today I want to talk about Crosspoint.tv. So today's spotlight, Crosspoint.tv. These guys had 3 separate posts that I found when I was just searching through, like, I want to show you guys some great Instagram content. Who's got it? These guys, man, 3 really cool ideas, and I want to tell you why they're really cool. We're going to do screenshots of this today. We're not going to actually go to the account, but follow Crosspoint.tv on Instagram. They do good stuff. And they're not one of those that's like a huge church, right? That we always go to with those examples. These are people that, they're kind of a medium-sized church. They're a big church, but they're like a medium-sized big church. And they just do really well with creative content that anyone can actually reproduce. So let's look at one of these posts. The first one, I think I got 4 slides here, but this is a post about a podcast they have. Okay, so one of the things I love about this post is it is focused on content from another place. Like it's really hard to get from Instagram to another place. There's only one link in your bio. You can't link anything in the captions. So what do you do? And what I love about what they've done here is, yes, there's a link in bio and they've got, stuff like that for this. But look what they say in the caption. It says, the start of the season for Nashville Soccer Club is right around the corner. And like all Nashvillians, we can't wait. So you may be on, what does this have to do with church? Well, great question. Let's read on. Today's episode of the Anything's Possible podcast features, they tagged the Nashville's SC soccer player. That's a team there. That's one of the teams. So they tagged the team. Great use of community connections to broaden the reach of this post by tagging a soccer team that will most likely take it and share it. Hey, one of our players is going to be on this podcast. Brilliant. Always think about your community and tagging them as much as you can, because when you do, your reach goes through the roof every time. Next, here's the player, soccer player Taylor Washington. So that's one of the players. They had him come on the podcast talking about his faith journey. So there's the tie-in for our mission, and living out the phrase coram Deo. That's a Latin phrase that means eat food. I'm kidding. I don't know what it means. I believe it means, what does coram Deo mean? Deo is Lord. Oh, I should know this one. I don't know this one. Hit me up in the comment. Tell me what it says. I see Kenny's watching. Kenny, what does it say? What does that mean? You're a college guy. I think Kenny went to Princeton, I believe, right? Coram Deo. What does that mean? It's why that phrase coram Deo is so important to him. Now, the fact that I don't know what that means makes me want to listen to the podcast, find out what the heck that means. So smart, maybe I'm their target audience. I give a, rats about soccer. I really don't, but that's an interesting story, especially if it's my church doing this podcast. Really cool. Excuse me. So they've leveraged content from somewhere else to post about it on Instagram. But what they didn't do is say, go listen to this podcast. They never told you to do anything. And some of us might go, well, is that a win or is that a loss? I think the win is in that they didn't have to tell you to do that. The copy is so good, even though the picture is just kind of like, here's a dude in a podcast chair. It's an interesting photo still. I mean, he's an interesting guy because he's a soccer player. Here's the cool looking microphone. The background may or may not be photoshopped in, probably is, but the Anything's Possible podcast in the corner is really nice, but it let the photo be the feature of that post, right? So it's not about go to listen to the podcast. The whole post is about this guy has a really awesome story to tell. And you're left going, well, I want to hear it. The call to action is in the content. So it's very compelling. When you write content that's compelling, the call to action is kind of natural. Now, I would not recommend thinking that your content is usually like this. I think this is a rare post, which is why I'm highlighting it, because they did it really, really well. Even if I had written this, I probably still would have said something like, get the link in the bio, just for those that aren't familiar with how all this works, so we catch them. And I'd put it at the bottom. So when you scroll through Instagram, it's not what you see in the top section. You know, they have to get all the way to the bottom of the caption. If they've committed all the way to the bottom of the caption, link in bio is not going to make them feel like I got to get out of here. So this is a great post. I thought this was great that they cross-posted content really, really well. So the second one they did, I love this one. Look at that. That is a photo of baptism that, for one, amazing photo. That's a great photo. And when you think about getting photos like this, just getting a photographer to the baptism is not how you get these kinds of photos. A lot of prep went into this. They lit the area well. The photographer knew the process. They knew what was going to happen. They were in position. Think about where that photographer is in a room. They are literally 5 to 6 feet, hopefully at least 6, right? Social distancing, they got to be at least 6 feet. So they're probably at least 6 feet away from this girl who just came up. And the dude there who's doing the baptizing, what a great expression on his face. What an incredible photo this is. And they could have just left it at that, but they added a plus to it. In fact, they added 2. The first is they put that Instagram capture top and bottom around it, and then left the lines off the side. That is a simple and brilliant idea to see. That's an Instagrammable moment we captured on Instagram in a photo. It's like this post breaks the fourth wall of Instagram, and I am totally here for it. This is incredible. So I love that. But what I also love is that right over her, they put a message. And if ever there's been a good example of how powerful copy can be, here it is. Anything's possible. That is a really great message for those who are thinking my life can't be changed by God. I'm too far gone. I've done too many things to be forgiven. All the things that they might associate if they're a churchgoer who's feeling negative feelings right now, it's encouraging to them. Anything's possible also reaches to those who are not believers. Like, look at what's happening in her life. If anything is truly possible, maybe this is where I start to moving towards that anything that I need to be possible in my life. Who knows how people will interpret that? Then you look down at the caption, and it was a little longer, so I cut it off. But this weekend, Pastor Kevin taught us that we can either feed our faith or feed our fears. Great. In a week that is desperately trying to feed our fears, we've decided to intentionally feed our faith. So how? So by remembering moments throughout the last year where we saw God move. So this is actually a moment from before, it looks like. So great post, highlights a value of your church, spiritual growth, baptism is a value, changing your life. And honestly, I think this is an incredible message for right now. And one of the reasons it's an incredible message for right now is that it implies that the person who is in the baptismal has decided that something about their life needed to change. Something about their life. That's why they accepted Christ. That's why they decided to get baptized. Something in their life, it was going one way and they wanted it to go another. And Jesus showed them, the Holy Spirit showed them that Jesus was the avenue to do that. And so it naturally worked itself out in baptism because of the leadership of our church. That's a cool story. And it's a cool story because we live in a time where many of us are really entrenched in our ideas. We're really entrenched in how we are. And we all feel like we're very, very right now. And so this is a great post to show that change can happen and it's okay, that it's safe. It's safe to take a look at your life and go, what needs to be different? Can I be criticized? Can I be disagreed with? Can I still be friends with people that I disagree with? This is a great post for now. And it communicates a lot of those underlying currents that I think are really a needed message in our world. So that's a great post. Baptisms. If you don't have some kind of process that you train your photographers on how to get these kinds of baptism photos, I would advise you to check out what Life Church does. They have some resources, and I forget the guy's name. They actually have a church photographer on staff, and he runs a YouTube channel on how to train volunteers to get these kinds of photos. In fact, a video I saw once was a training video on how to take photos of baptisms. You may want to check those out. If I can find the link, I'll link to it. But go talk to Bo Coffin. He can probably point you straight to the right person. All right, so let's look at the next post. Or reach out to the Crosspoint. Hit them up on Instagram and say, hey, who's your photographer? Can we talk to him? Okay, so this is a two-parter because you notice it's an album post. I love this post because, again, great photo. Again, in all three of these photos, there's been a diversity element. First guy looked like I believe he's Hispanic. And then the second one, there's an African-American pastor, and then a white girl in the baptismal. And then here is an African-American woman, or I'm assuming. But there's a lot of diversity here. I'm guessing that diversity is an important value for their church. So their social media is reflecting that. That's really great. My group's story from Miss Barbara. I don't know who Miss Barbara is, but she seems like the kind of person that gives you a hug, whether you want to or not, as soon as you come in the room. And I love that. She seems like she's just a genuinely happy person. Miss Barbara is one story of how God has moved through groups at Crosspoint. And then they use their hashtags. You were never meant to do life alone. You're wired, and they go on to explain why groups are important. Great way to highlight. It might be Andy. I don't know if it was Andy. Is that Bo? I can't tell if it's Bo commenting because I'm using eCam. But if that's Bo, it's a skinny dude with a beard. So I know that probably narrows it down for you. But yeah, he did a video on baptism. So maybe that's it. Anyway, back to this. So I love how they secretly, kind of subtly made this like, it's about groups. We're encouraging you to be in groups. We want you to want to be in groups. But here's how they did it. Let's look at the second part of this post. When you slide, there's this long story with highlights and circles. And man, I wish I could, can I zoom this in? I can't make it any bigger. Maybe when you pause it later and zoom in. So anyway, I can't really read that. Let me get in there. It's really small. I get super close. On November 30th, I walked down the hill in front of my home to get the mail and slipped. I broke my fibula. Fibula? Is that in your arm? I don't know. I'm right up in your face. I'm so sorry. I bruised my tibia and broke my ankle in 3 places. So I'm guessing, yeah, all over. At the emergency room, I texted the ladies in my small group for prayers. They underlined that part. Smart. Thinking that would be, I texted the ladies group for prayers, thinking that would be all I'd get. I was in a huge splint, couldn't put weight on that leg once I got home. Oh my gosh. These wonderful women picked days to bring me meals, sent food, gift cards, and on the days I was alone, they came over, made me lunch, kept me company, and let the dogs out for me. I guess we finally know who let the dogs out. It's these ladies. I found that these women will jump in to help in any way I needed. Circle, such a blessing, Miss Barbara. Those are her words, right? And they may have been edited, but this is a micro story. And what I love about this is that you're using social media to not only promote something, but you're doing it through story. And we always talk about using announcements and things only about 20%. And you're like, well, I've got 1 million announcements to make. How can I possibly do that? Besides posting 1 million times just to get the ratios right, because I have to post about all these announcements. This is how. Is that you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You use 2 types of posts. One, you talk about groups and why they're important, but you do that by showing them why it's important with a story. And so basically you're using the storytelling device, you're using an inspirational post, and you're telling people, here's why this story is great, because her group was there. Don't you want to be in a group? Again, if you could use a group of people to grow spiritually with you, hold you accountable and rely. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why that's ever in there in the captions. You need accountability. That's in the caption a lot of times. I'm like, nobody really wants that. That's not like a selling point. It is good. We all know it's good, but it's not like, you know what I need? Exercise. I need somebody to really make me exercise. Well, if you want to get those goals, great. But a lot of us are like, that sounds terrible. No, thank you. But anyway, side note, if you hold it accountable and rely on you when you need them most, join a group. Go to crosspoint.tv. Now, I go back and forth on putting URLs in a caption for Instagram because they can't actually click anything. And they're going to be on a mobile device, so they're probably not going to do anything with it. So it's kind of a waste. But there is kind of this impression feel that I'll see that I know the crosspoint.tv, but then groups. I can remember that. Maybe I'll go to it. I prefer to go, or the link to groups is in bio, but there's a couple of clicks between there. Like I said, it's Instagram. There's really no way to get people to leave Instagram and go somewhere else. So asking them to do that is usually a wasted effort, but you can, if you tell a good story, they'll be compelled to do it. One of the things you might check in your Instagram insights is when you go through on the insights, you can select content and then see posts divided up by how different interactions and insights they have set up for you. And one of them is website clicks. So how many people came from this piece of content and clicked your website link? Now that doesn't mean, if you have one of those one link solutions where you click a link and then there's a bunch of links to choose from, I think that's great. I do that too. But so you don't know which one they clicked, which is why I'm starting to say I recommend doing a one link solution unless you have Google Analytics set up on a web page that you've made that has all those links, so you can see which links got clicked the most. So you can tell like what kind of content needs to go there. I think that's helpful. Anyway, the point is that getting them to do that, you can go into Insights and find out which ones of your posts really did that well. And I guarantee posts where you really didn't ask them to do that, they probably won't. The ones that you really want them to and really made it obvious that that's what you want them to do, you might get a little. And I think that's going to be about the range of what you can get out of that, unless you're a huge account, unless you have thousands of people following you. But most of us just have, under 1,000 followers, under 800 followers on our churches, maybe 1,000, 1,500 followers. But the point is that you're going to get some out of that, but it's Instagram. They really don't want to leave it. They don't want to leave Facebook either, but they really don't want to leave Instagram. It's just kind of a bad process. But anyway, I thought that was a great post. The storytelling device to talk about groups. Awesome. You know what's not awesome? Groups start this weekend. We'd love to have you join. Go find out more at the kiosk. That's so boring. And I'm definitely not doing that. If I walk into church and we actually are having services, and I might go over to the kiosk and see it, but chances are if I go into your building at all right now, I'm trying to spend as little time in there as possible because of the virus. Second, if I'm watching at home, I'm probably not doing that because I have to leave the mobile device that I'm using to stream to the TV for my family to watch to actually click the link, and it takes me off, which messes up what's on the screen. So it is a big headache. I'm not doing that. So it's difficult. It's a difficult situation right now. I get it. But those are things that you can do, and here that's what you should expect. All right. So I hope that was helpful for you. We'll be back every week from here on out, unless things happen that I can't control. I'll try to communicate that with you if we're not going to do the show. But we'll be on Fridays at 2:15 Eastern time. So make sure you're here checking out the Insta Good Show. Before we go, I want to let you know that the wonderful people known as Kenny and Katie in this, the owners and runners and benevolent human beings of this group have written a book. And it particularly pertains to Instagram. And the picture I got was so enormous, and I couldn't resize it in Ecamm, so I got to move over, but here it is. Instagram posts that worked. This is the new book from Church Communications, there are real life examples from church communicators across the country. Nona Jones wrote the foreword. This is a great book. It's available on Amazon. Look it up, or you can find links to it in the group or on churchcommunications.com. Great book. I actually wrote some posts in there for that. I know many of us in this group did posts that we actually did, and they actually worked and how they worked. So this is a really helpful book for content ideas if you're stuck with Instagram, specifically designed for Instagram. Get it on Amazon. I don't know how much it is, but it's worth it. It's under $20, I bet. So somewhere around $20, I don't know. But go check this book out. It's a great book. I have a lot of faith in those guys to put together a really good thing. And, I mean, if they want to send me a free copy, I'd love it. This is my play for a free copy of it so I can read through it and talk about it. I love that. Anyway, I'm kidding. So go get this book. It's available right now on Amazon or in other places in church communication. So grab that book. That is going to be our show for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really loved hanging out with you. And hopefully as we go forward, we'll get to connect with more and more of you about Instagram. I know right now, I'll just say this. I know this right now that you are still really focused on your live stream and connecting YouTube and in your live stream and your website being solid. I think that's wise. I think that's very, very wise. I think getting your website and your email list together and really focusing on how to use that well in the coming future those are two owned properties. You own those, right? Your email list, you've collected, you've hopefully got their permission to email you, but your website is yours. There can't be somebody like Zuckerberg come in and just shut her down, right? Nothing can happen. It's yours. Unless, obviously things can happen, but that's your property. So focusing on those is good. Facebook is probably your biggest platform that you have at your church. But I will tell you this, there is a group of people on Instagram that is a smaller audience than your Facebook, smaller audience than your live stream. And Instagram works in a way that is so unique that it actually reaches those young people that you're all trying to reach. So think about how you can utilize Instagram well outside of just copying Facebook content over, and how can we actually turn that into its own community? We're going to be talking about some of those ideas over this next couple of months. How do you build community on Instagram and use it as it's kind of its own ecosystem? How do you create content that people actually want to talk about and share and engage with? We're going to be discussing those types of things for Instagram over the next few weeks. I'm excited to do that with you. I really, really can't wait. So thank you guys so much for watching. That is the Insta Good Show. We'll be back next week. See you later.